guys, Alex Peak Performance Reviews. Welcome to another vlog, and a bit of a crap one really, to be honest with you. Not something I've wanted to make, but just to let you know also, this is basically unscripted. I haven't got nothing written down on paper, so it's just going to be spitballing from my head. And I want to do it this way because I want to make sure that people are aware how much this comes from my heart. And it's a very hard video to make because issues of which you may see in the title in the bio, of which I've had in the last 3 months, have affected me quite badly. Anyone who follows some of our other social media will know that in a roundabout way you could probably read in between the lines, but understand that I've had a bit of a wobble, if that's the best way to describe it. I'm not afraid in saying I've had, not major, but some form of mental health issues. That's always a hard thing to admit and talk about, and when you say it, people think you're crazy basically when you say it. But rest assured, from anyone watching this who has suffered in any way, shape or form with stresses and anxiety, which to a much greater extent is a mental health issue, that you shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. I'm quite an ambassador to talk about it and help others that are in that situation, because I understand being in a very bad position. I think about 12 years ago, I ended up going to see a local wellbeing centre, and they helped me no end. And since then, I've been able to manage any stresses and strains of life very well. However, recently I had my kind of stress and anxiety really balloon and get to the get a bit hard for me, so to speak. People have been really amazing on social media, so I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to try to make this not too long-winded, but I need to make sure I get everything I want across in the video. Now, I know to some extent I may get crucified, and the people that I think will crucify me or not crucify me, but some people may be a bit funny with it, are people that are maybe very hardcore towards a Honda Civic Type R, FK8 in particular. Now, I've gathered, and I don't know for sure, some good followers in the FK8 community and forum. And first and foremost, I have to say, FK8 owners genuinely are the best owners. I've been on forums before, and I have to say, being on the communities on the FK8 forum, meeting some really good people at the Sharnbrook meet, and through Dream and just Dream in general, they're just amazing. And I've got nothing but the highest respect of those people I've met and the people I've met along this journey, and kind of like with Dream Automotive. And Phil and myself are going to still do things together, but there's a but. You'll see this coming. Basically, I am very reluctantly, and this sounds pathetic, but I'm going to say, I'm going to try not to get emotional the whole time I'm doing this conversation to you. But it is hard, because there's a lot of things that people don't probably realise are going on in people's lives and stuff like that. Now, I'm in a decent financial state by and large, but when something big happens to anyone in this modern day and age, with like kind of people, spending a lot of money and having a lot of outgoings, some of which you almost cannot control, that are not been silly financial decisions. The reality is, when something big happens in a financial sense, especially with what's going on in the world, it is very hard to keep your head afloat or understand how you'll get out of a situation. Now, basically, without dragging this out any further, I am going to be selling my FK8, and there's a reason for it. Basically, what people haven't been told and people don't know is my engine expired actually during an FP, which is a free practice. I was actually circulating around Cadwell, and it was happening when I was basically literally going gentle. If anyone was there and they saw it, they'll be able to testify, and I think you could see it in the data anyway. Circulate to basically get my tyre pressures up. However, there was an issue before then which I didn't realise was kind of rearing its ugly head. Now, people, like I say, are going to potentially not see my points and say, you're a dickhead. I don't know what they want to say, but hear me out. Okay, so I basically had an engine expire, and I honestly believe it didn't happen because of the stresses it's had on track. And the reason why I say that is I meticulously maintain that car, top up oil, make sure everything's a-okay, and the modifications I've done to the car are very, very mild, and anyone will know. And actually, they're things that normally would help a car breathe and cool. I've always data logged and checked and kept on top of data logging whenever I've kind of been round track, which is not necessarily an insane amount. I went plenty of times, but I'm actually a very careful owner in the respect that I have on the mechanical stresses for the car. So I always look at kind of oil temps, water temps, and I've never ever seen, especially on the facelifted one, anything at a dangerous point where you'd imagine, you know, stock parts and a stock engine would struggle with, because at the end of the day there's a lot of alarms within the ECU that kind of should tell you that something's, you know, not good and it's going awry, or someone, you know, high temperature, low pressure, low oil. I understand that the FK8 has very sensitive oil kind of level differential in terms of it switching the light on. I think someone said it's like literally 100 mil off and it will basically put the light on. I've never ever had it alarm due to low oil pressure, high oil temps, low oil temps, low pressure, anything in relation to that, any high temperatures of water. Untowards of probably what you'd even see on a hot day on the road if you were pushing hard. So I've kind of made sure that the car's always been good when I have taken it on track. However, obviously I had an issue on track. I had an issue, and I have had it on track at some point, you know, on a numerous amount of occasions. So my engine, we don't know actually, and I'll go on to that, how much damage has happened. I don't think it's major. However, we got it to Honda and to our local dealership, which is John Banks in Bury St Edmunds, and long story short is it was there for 3 months, virtually 3 months, before pretty much anything happened, which was quite annoying. All the time I'm kind of stressing. Of course, I took it there with the intention of kind of going, you know, I honestly believe that that's happened outside of any fact of it being on track, and it shouldn't really happen at those levels. So I've kind of taken it to Honda, and I'm, you know, it's basically to let people know it's a facelifted FK8 2020 with about 15,000 miles on the clock, meticulously owned and looked after. And basically the week before it failed, during the week, I thought it was starting to tap, and this was just in normal road use. One time, I think it was a Wednesday or Tuesday, I turned it on and I thought it sounded like it was a little bit tappy. Just all of a sudden, just during a week, normal road use, like I say, turned it on and I thought it sounded like it felt tappy. Only minusculely, and I kind of, you know, when you sometimes own a car and you think to yourself, I don't drive it loads either, and you think to yourself, is it tapping or am I just imagining things? So you think, don't worry, but keep an eye on it. So for a couple of days I kind of kept an eye on it. I said to my missus as well, do you think the car's tapping? She probably drives it more than me. Or she does drive it more than me, way more than me. And she said, yeah, I think it is. So I basically, I said to myself, the moment it gets to the weekend, I'm going to basically have a look at the oil, check it out, check everything. Everything was all a-okay on that side. It didn't look discoloured and weird or anything like that. Well, maybe a little bit dark, but it's had a service plan through John Banks Honda. So it's been serviced at regular intervals and what it needs to. And I've always checked all levels, and everything was all a-okay, spot on, levels were spot on. And then that was basically the day after I then was taking it. So it would have been Friday actually, and then the day after I was taking it to Cadwell. And literally just again, it sounded maybe a little bit audibly louder on the way up to Cadwell, and then just all of a sudden, just as I was kind of circulating, it started to just tap a little bit more, and literally just kind of I think effectively lost compression. So I kind of parked it up, and looked kind of under the under tray, looked at everything, so no rods shooting out the side of the block or anything like that. Everything's where it should be as such. There's no oil residue anywhere. There was no smoke coming out the back. At no point at any time during when I've driven it have I ever seen any light come on. So I asked the question, what can I do as a user other than getting to thinking it gets to a point where it's tapping too much that you take it somewhere and go, hang on, this doesn't sound right. What else kind of can you do? I mean, when it started tapping, it was too late. That was on the road and I just turned it on and it was tapping. So again, at the point of where it's obviously had an issue, what could I have done different? Now, if a failure happens like that, in my opinion, it has to happen pretty much through fatigue. Honda would argue, and they have argued, and I will go on to this, that they believe that obviously during its hard life it's had on track, it's going to have pushed it a bit far. Reality is it's been on track, so boom, you know, null and void the warranty. So basically, Honda have we've taken it to Honda. It's taken nearly 3 months, and they've then come back probably 2.5 months in. They've kind of gone, yeah, you spun a bearing. We've seen it. We've seen these, you know, bearing shells, and we'll go through the warranty process. They asked me, has it been on track? And I said yes. I weren't going to ever lie to them. They come back and eventually said that, did you know that obviously if you take it on track, it's null and void and the warranty's gone. If I'm honest, I'm terrible. I didn't look at any of the small print, and apparently that is the case. I didn't even look afterwards, but apparently yes, track. If you take it out on track, it invalidates the warranty. It's the same with, you know, mildly modifying a car or modifying a car. I think some manufacturers don't or do warrant cars. I think the Hyundai i30N, I think, has track warranty on the engine and gearbox. Don't quote me on that, but I've been told that is the case. And there are other manufacturers that do have lifetime warranties on the gearbox, even for track work. I think BMW, that is. And lots of other manufacturers do have some coverage, even if you take the car on track. Some of them, I think Ford with the RS, apparently you need to tell your dealer before you go on track, and they check it apparently before and can check it afterwards. And again, don't quote me, but there's different things. However, going forward, I was quoted that it needed a new engine, and I was told that the engine was going to be £16,000. I don't know about you guys, unless you're in a better position than me. I don't think many, and I've got a good job, but £16,000 is something I certainly can't afford up front, and to get that money would be a big issue. So I was astounded because there was a massive lack of empathy from both the dealership and the manufacturer. So I contacted them and I kind of complained because and I'm not going to read emails that have gone back to and from because I think that's unfair. But in a roundabout way, I honestly believe that considering the car is billed as a Nürburgring front wheel drive record setting track car, I'm astounded that the moment you've taken it out on track, if something is probably gone awry and it has nothing to do with track in this instance, which I think it, in my opinion, has, I don't understand. Maybe just not the fact that they would replace everything and just go, yeah, that's fine, because people are going to heavily modify cars and take the car on track even more than what I ever did, and then to kind of, if you were to kind of over rev it, drive it like an absolute nutcase, bell end, whatever you want to say, I would get. But where I'm coming from is, I know that I haven't driven it in that way. I was happy for Honda to see all of the data. I wanted them to kind of check the data, and I wanted them to come back to me and say at what point and why did it fail and how. They basically refused to go further and look deeper into how the failure has happened because of one little checkbox basically going, no, it's null and void. So for me, it's just the fact that there's no empathy, no fact that the little guy here has a financial big issue, and there's no empathy whatsoever, although actually they came back to me a little later and offered 10% off the parts. which again, I tried to kind of go back to them and say, look, you know, please understand where I come from. I want to see the whole report and understand why it's failed, because I don't believe I've led to that failure. That's kind of what I was trying to understand, and I just wanted to understand there's some empathy, or at least get to the bottom of why the failure happened, so I could even, you know, swallow and understand it. Like I say, at no point none of those lights came up. I honestly think no matter how good a reputation a manufacturer has in terms of how reliable they can be, despite me thinking that the turbocharged Honda Civic Type R is not as reliable as the older K20 blocks used to be, and the gearboxes, etc. Because of the failures I've seen in the US and some of the failures we're starting to see in the UK. My thing I'm trying to get across also is, if you're thinking about getting a new Civic Type R and you're even contemplating taking it on track, if you have an issue, it is game over. From my understanding of how things happen now, trust me when I say it's going to get thrown out and you're not got any legs to stand on. So either buy one and don't take it on track, even though it's kind of billed as a track car, because the car, yes, other people have taken the car out on track. I've seen the older ones, the non-facelifted, had real big issues with heat, but still taking that, and people have gone out on track. Makes me think more so that it is because I've had an issue out the factory. Maybe something's failed, a pump's failed, a sensor's failed, I don't know. But I would have liked to have understood, you know, deeper what and how the failure happened. Honestly, not like, you know, oh, that's your fault because you've been on track once in the whole lifetime, you know, or twice, whatever it may be. But just, you know, no empathy, just chucking it away. And it's just, I'm making this video because I want people to realise that they need to be very careful, and really, really think about, you know, what you buy, especially based on the fact that people are saying, you know, these cars are so strong and so reliable. And I also have to add that actually there was a point when I first started talking about it to Honda UK, and I think when I had to escalate it, and I think basically even before I told them it had been on track, and the people dealing with it at that time wouldn't have known that I took it on track, it was still going to be thrown out. And the sweeping statement effectively was lack of oil. The whole time I had the car, I would check the oil, sometimes twice a week, but normally once a week on the weekend. And at no point was it any bit under the well, if it was under the max, it was way over the minimum. In fact, it never really used oil. It was very good. It never really consumed oil the whole time I've had it. Barely moved from the top level mark, which effectively meant I didn't need to top up. I'd always check it. But yeah, their sweeping statement at the point of first report, or the end report once they'd kind of opened it, was lack of oil, and they could see heat in the motor and lack of oil. That was it. And at that point, my understanding was they had failed it and they weren't going to cover it on warranty. I escalated it further, and basically said effectively I wanted to fight that. And at that point they came back to me, and I think they looked at it deeper, probably saw my YouTube channel, because some of the people in Honda UK are aware of my channel. Got no issue with that, and they asked me there and then, do you take the car on track, or have you taken the car on track? And I said yes straight away. I wasn't going to lie, but interesting that it was basically going to fail, and the warranty was going to be thrown out, based on the fact that they were deeming that effectively, in a roundabout way, they effectively were saying it hasn't been owned and maintained in the correct way, lack of oil. They didn't go further into it, but they're saying basically, don't know, we're not saying we know what happened for sure, other than, well, they did, they're just saying lack of oil. Their report never went any deeper than that, and I think then they had a better excuse to, as I escalated it, to look deeper and ask about it being on track. I don't know where that came from, but it's no issue, because I was happy enough to tell them that when they asked. But effectively it was being thrown out before even at that point. So it's very interesting. So even though I'm telling you guys, you know, I feel hard done by, yet I've been out on track, just take that into consideration, guys. I have a nearly new car that only had modifications that would help it breathe and have better cooling. I've never seen any issues with temperatures. I don't really take the car out on track when I have done for more than 15 minutes and I cool it down. Never seen any high temps. Never seen, especially like I say with the facelift, they are pretty damn good. And you know, you see an elevation of beyond a minor fast road bash, but not anything where you would get breakdown of any typical bearing, motor bearing or bearing of any description. Like I say, no high water temps, no oil temps, no low oil pressure, no high oil pressure, no high temp, oil temp, water temp, no fail safes came on, no limp modes in relation to those things. Yeah, so it's interesting they could ascertain, or they felt to ascertain the failure to be lack of oil. That made me laugh because it was like, that's definitely not the case. Or, well, sorry, it could be the case, but if that is the case, something's broken down in there, something's blocked, a pump failure, I don't know. Or a sensor's not told me that there is high temps and it's going beyond high temps, but it's only reading, you know, whatever is within the temperatures of a failsafe, below a failsafe. But really weird, very odd, very, excuse my French, fucked up and strange, and just shady is probably a harsh word, but just, I think, a lack of want and desire to find out the real failure. New car, modern car, and they still, I think, were effectively gonna or wanting to throw that away. At that point, yeah, I probably could have gone to the motor ombudsman. You could fight it, but what a horrible thing to have to do, guys. You know, have to fight it. And this is me saying it to you guys, to people that may watch and don't even modify or track their car. But just be aware, if you do, that they've got extra ammo on you, of course. But even if you don't, from my understanding and dealings, they are going to do everything in their power to throw your claim away, and parts and components, especially expensive, are going to be not covered, or at least they're going to find a good damn excuse to not cover it. So just be aware, understand my pain. I'm kind of, you know, understand my pain for going forward to make sure I'm protecting you guys. I just don't want people to buy what probably is going to be a 40-45k car, I reckon, for me, in the new Civic Type R, only to know your little track weapon can't be taken out on track. Think about that one. Think about that one hard before you buy one. Yeah. Hey ho. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, it obviously, there's probably a lot more to it than that. I kind of went back for a really deep look into kind of why, and wanted to get the report, and basically it got refused because, again, they kind of said, we're gonna throw it away based on the fact that you've been on track, so we don't need to look into it deeper. So the Honda don't really want to even know how that failure has occurred. They're just basically saying there's a checkbox, boom, see you later, thanks for coming, and they don't want to help in any way, shape or form. It's really disappointed me to the extent that I'm so pissed off with the whole situation, the lack of empathy from both Honda UK and whoever was involved in the process of throwing out a claim, and not understanding where I'm coming from, and not understanding what I wanted to see from, you know, a report, and also the dealer, and yeah, just the whole way it's kind of been dealt with. My car's, like I say, been in there for my local dealer, John Banks, Beresford Edmonds, for, like I say, 2.5-3 months, and the state of it is pretty sorry. It's out on the back on skates, it's dusty, it's got stickers all over it, it's got dirty, soiled engine parts in the footwell as well, so I've got to kind of assess that when I go to pick it up. But everything, I'm probably forgetting a lot, to be honest with you, but in a roundabout way from emails I've sent, it is basically like Honda have effectively said, we don't care how that problem has happened, a checkbox is ticked, and it means that we throw it away.
What a fucking state of this.
So I would have no confidence going forward with Honda as a brand and buying a new Honda to want to keep it. So basically, Phil at Dream Automotive is going to rebuild it. I think it's going to end up costing a lot less than, you know, £16,000. If we go with a new block from them, I think it's more near 10 to 12. Second-hand motor is an option, but we're not going to do that. We're going to rebuild that motor, so it's really fresh, nice. Unless obviously it's unless there's anything untoward, but I think based on the sounds and the way it failed and the communication and the fact there's nothing out the side of the blocks and there's no seepage and oil out the back, I think it's going to be more straightforward than the garage thought, especially with great people like Dream Automotive rebuilding it. So probably, you know, we'll need a fair amount of parts, but not too much. Feels confident that he should be able to rebuild it to a perfect condition. But because I have no confidence, not necessarily in the car, but because the build will be from Dream Automotive, probably be sweeter than ever before. But I've got no confidence in the brand and how anything will get looked after thereafter, especially if they're just throwing away everything in terms of claims, especially from there on in, because they're going to effectively, the flag will stick with me, not with the car. So when it's rebuilt in a good state, it gets checked, and then whoever buys it and is lucky enough, well, I'd say still lucky enough to buy it, will basically get the warranty still with the car, and it still has a service plan on it as well, which we were having our services as well. But so really crap shit situation. Anyone who will know me and has followed the channel will know how much I've been singing about the FK8. It doesn't change the fact that the FK8 is chassis wise the best hot hatch out there. There's other hot hatches that are tugging at its heels and not a million miles off, and there's some that, you know, are not a million miles, or, you know, as quick point A to point B, maybe from raw power, not necessarily the chassis. But it kind of pains me a little bit to kind of say, yeah, that's going to be my journey with FK8s. It will be to a greater extent. I'm going to still do some stuff with the guys at Dream Automotive, and hopefully still meet with some of the guys in the FK8 community. Yeah, there's probably a lot that I've missed in the heat of the situation, guys, but I just want to say, for everyone who kind of follows us for the FK8 content, please stick with us. Please understand my reasons to why I'm kind of ranting and why I feel very upset about it. It's caused me a lot of stress, my anxiety to kind of flare up because of the financial implications that to some extent I know it will have. Yeah, the only positive that will come out of this is the car's worth a decent amount, so I'm in positive equity versus kind of payments. I didn't buy it up front, most people don't, but we've got good equity in the car, so going forward we can get something else. We are going to get something else. We think we know what we're going to get, and it's just a sad situation because I adore the FK8 community. Owning it, apart from the mechanicals recently, has been an absolute pleasure. The car's just an absolute beast. But please guys, just be aware of the dangers and the situation if you modify your car. And I know there's going to be, like I say, people that crucify me, or people that go, look, you modified it, you tracked it every now and again, and realistically, what do you expect? And I know that I've had a few people that have said that, but a lot of people also have also seen my side and have a lot of empathy with the whole situation, and actually by and large agree with kind of my thoughts and logic in how I'm thinking. So yeah, it's sad situation. I'm gutted, but yeah, the FK8 is going fairly shortly, and it's been great by and large. And I'm sorry to kind of have to say it. Like I say, hopefully a lot of you guys will stay. I suspect some people will go, some people will not understand and not get where I'm coming from. And you know, if you don't, I don't want to say I get that, but yeah, it's a shame. I hope all of you guys stick with the channel, and it's a weird, horrible video to have to make, and yeah, it's the reality of life, isn't it? You live and you learn. You get burnt, and it's sad, but life goes on, I suppose. Anyway, guys, if you have made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching. Don't hate me for anything, please. Try to understand where I'm coming from. I'm happy to kind of hear people's thoughts. Hit us up in the comment section if you've got any questions. You want to inbox us at any time. My inbox is always open, unless you're being a douche. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. As always, like, share, comment and subscribe. See you again on the next one. Bye for now.